Hello, I'm Ian and welcome to Somerset News Network. I'm just going to do a little video. I'll put it on in a few days. Lots of talk about EVs and going green and all the rest of it. Well, there's a few things flying around the internet. Now, I got nothing to say that this is true if it isn't AI. But I suspect it is true. EV owners in remote areas of America and in Australia are carrying generators, diesel or petrol generators in the back of the car. And they stop and they recharge the car. It's true. And this came up on Facebook. A guy towing a generator. I think this is definitely AI. But this is what is happening. I know it's AI because they wouldn't have put the extension cable into the back lights. It would have been into like the caravan plug you have on the back of your tow bar. But the principle is there. And yeah, there are people who drive in remote areas with an electric car and carry a generator. It's true. You can't make it up. They're going green, I tell you. So then I came across this one and I typed in. Now, a few years ago, a farm where I shoot had a wind farm put on, and he rents it out to a company. And there's a little, like, garden hut on the side, like a small lorry back by the side of it. It's got all the controls in and that. Anyway, there's no wind yet. The generators, the windmill is still going round. The turbines are still going round. Anyway, the engineer came and he was in the field at the time, went over and had a chat. I said, here, how does that rotate when there's no wind? He said, we got to keep it rotating to lubricate the bearings. So they're taking electric off the grid at 24 pence a unit and selling it back to the grid for, I don't know, 35, 40 pence a unit with the government subsidy. You can't make this up. It is absolute craziness. So anyway, I'm in Liverpool and I'm meeting a friend of mine called Steve Lee. Now Steve Lee is an Australian folk singer. And he done a song called I Like Guns. And here's a little clip of it.
Well, I like guns, I like the way they look. I like the shiny steel and the polished wood. I don't care if they're big or small. If they're for sale, hell, I want them all.
And the photograph is Steve Lee in Liverpool with the statue on the Edward Dock of the four Beatles. It's a tourist destination. And just up the road is the Beatle Museum that we went round. Yeah, absolutely fascinating. As a Beatles fan, I was absolutely enthralled. Anyway, he's a folk singer and he writes songs about things that happen, like folk singers do. So I said, somebody ought to write a song about EVs having a generator in the back of the car, thinking it was something funny. He said they ought to do it in the outback. I couldn't believe it. He said, no, it wouldn't be a funny song. And I thought, wow. You know, everybody's told to go green. Just think how much CO2 is produced to produce the elements the materials that are needed to make an EV. You've got the lithium, the cobalt. They're mined. Some of them are mined with slave labour. That's all got to be processed and transported. And then you've got the lifespan of the car. Now, they told us that these cars are going to last over 100,000 miles. Well, it turns out that after 3 or 4 years, the batteries deteriorate. So they're now advising people, if they want to look after their batteries, to not let it go down between 20% and not to charge it over 80%. So really, they can only use 6% of the capacity of the battery. That's craziness. You know, 60% of your battery, if you've got to go on long journeys, you'll be forever charging it up. The new EVs have got longer travel time, longer distances. They are even recharging the battery as you drive the car. Brilliant technology, got no problems with that. What I argue about is being forced to have an EV. By 2030, they're telling us we all ought to have EVs. How are you all going to charge up your EVs at night? If everybody's got their EVs on charger, will the grid hold it? I don't know the answer. I'm just posing the question. And if you've got a household that has an EV, you plug it in at night and charge it. Well, what happens if the wife's got an EV as well? You're going to end up having, I can recharge my car on a Monday. I got to recharge my car on a Tuesday. Okay, you got 2 sons. Or 2 daughters. They both got EVs. How are they going to charge their cars? Because mum and dad are charging theirs. Oh, they got to charge it during the day. Well, that means they got to pay more money for it. Because the tariff's greater. They charge at night because it's cheaper. You can charge an EV at night for £6. I got no problems with that at all. What I got a problem with is being forced to have an EV. And the cost of an EV to start with. They're over £40,000. If you buy a cheap one, it's got a cheaper battery. It doesn't go as far. I can't use an EV because I got a pacemaker. Because of the magnetic fields within an electric car, it might affect my pacemaker. So I can't sit in an EV. So I'm told. I don't know, I'm not a doctor or a scientist. But that's what I'm told. Ian, avoid CVs because of the magnetic field. There are certain activities that I've got to avoid because of the magnetic fields. Going near radar stations is one of them. You know, I don't know what else, but I'm unlikely to go near a radar station. But you've got to think. And they say, we got to reduce CO2. Now, this is one of my other bugbears. I don't believe, with all the costs of CO2 produced to produce an EV, is going to reduce carbon. Might in the running of it, because you're not burning oil. And they say oil is a fossil fuel, but it isn't. We know it's not a fossil fuel. It's a renewable resource. And they've proven this. I've read the scientific papers on it. There was a report in the Science magazine that oil fields that had been run dry around about the Second World War, that were opened up in the 20s, were bought by a company, and they wanted to see how much oil was left in there. And the oil fields had refilled. And they were scratching their heads, where does the oil come from? They've now figured out that oil is produced by decaying bacteria in the rocks. That's what they figured out. Oil is produced by bacteria in the rocks. It's a renewable resource. The problem is we're using more than we can take out. There's big fields of oil. Venezuela, America, and the Middle East. We've even got it under our own feet in Britain. We know we had North Sea oil, but during the war, Nottingham Forest, Robin Hood fame, produced 300,000 gallons of crude oil a year for the war effort. And nobody tells you. In Dorset, I was driving round Dorset one day, and they got nodding donkeys there. They got an oil field in Dorset. I didn't know. How much oil have we really got under our feet in Britain? I don't think it's enough to sustain us, and I think we would still have to go out and buy oil. But if the oil is refilling in the Texas oil fields that had gone dry during the Second World War, will the North Sea gas fields refill in time? I posed the question. Don't know the answer, I just posed the question. What we need is clarity and truth. Now, farmer's got a wind farm. Now this is a funny one. He got no wind. So what does he do? He puts a tractor onto the bottom of the wind farm and turns the combine. You can't make it up. Now, I said before that the farmer found out that the electric company that's got his turbine was buying electric off the grid to keep the blades turning, to keep the bearings. In remote areas where they're on the grid, they've even got diesel generators in the control box to produce the electricity to keep the wind vines turning when there's no wind, so they can still make money. It's craziness, absolute craziness, and it's a lie. I do not like being told lies. All I want is the truth. That's a John Lennon song. Just give me the truth. All I want is the truth. Anyway, Ian, Somerset News Network, little rant over.